So something happened along the way that was very funny, interesting, frustrating. There's probably a good 8 or 9 adjectives I can use to describe this. Basically, it came about trying to benchmark some games after a hardware change. Should have been pretty easy. It wasn't that easy. We'll talk about it. So the idea was pretty simple. I've got IM number 4, which is my gaming rig, streaming rig, and all that stuff. I've got my editing rig back behind me. You can kind of see it over there. That is used totally separately, and I most recently, well, right now, that card that is in there is the ARC A750, the Intel ARC A750, directly from Intel, not from a third party, but from Intel. I have grown to really like the card, especially the editing ability. But one of the suggestions from a viewer had said, hey, what about testing with AMD? Now, I had tested some of the lower cards, the A380 and all that, with other Ryzen chips, but not on my main rig. So I figured, okay, now's the time. In addition, Intel has now they've notified everybody, or told everybody, or leaks, or however you want to get that across, that the next generation Battle Mage, the B series, are slated to start coming out by the end of this year. I believe that's going to be the B580, which will compete a little bit above the A770. Now, that's a step above what I have, but still, I figured it'd be a good opportunity to go ahead and make that video now and do some testing. My testing was incomplete, however, because I can't just compare that A750 to my 3060 Ti that is in the current rig. There are some big differences and noticeable differences, but it's more along the lines of, say, an RTX 3060 or an RTX 2070. Looking at my charts and everything, I realized that the 2070 hasn't been in this machine for quite a while, and so that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to go back and make sure that I've got current benchmarks on the 2070, on my 3060 Ti, maybe even an RTX 3060 that I still do have, and the ARC A750, just to kind of get an idea of, okay, where does this card sit when the next card is about to launch? Sounds simple, right? Since when is anything on my channel simple? I was able to test the RTX 3060 Ti with no problems. I ran all the benchmarks. My most common ones, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, Borderlands 3, Cyberpunk 2077, CS2, all that stuff. No problems at all. However, when we get to moving over to the RTX 2070 with that 5800X, now I had experienced some issues before, one other time, and that's part of the reason why I had made some other hardware changes. But in this case, and let me go ahead and show you guys what I'm talking about, because this is repeatable. This is something I can do time and time again. Borderlands 3, it's something that I use all the time for testing because it's really good testing GPUs. It will stress out the GPU, usually make the GPU sit around 100%. It does heat the GPU up, and it's something that it's a very good test for not only seeing what my load is on the CPU, usually very, very little, but on the GPU. Now, how do I test that? I'm going to turn that volume down, sorry about that. How do I test that? Well, I use a tool called MSI Afterburner. It's something that I use all the time. You guys have probably seen mention of it, but it's how I check and see what the load is and what the actual visuals are as far as memory being used and all that stuff. Very, very helpful tool. Watch what happens when I try to load up Borderlands 3 with my standard configuration. We've already clicked on it. You can see Claptrap, but any second now, it's just going to flat out refuse to work. Here it comes. Yep, there it is. So, I did all the things you're supposed to do. I made sure that the BIOS was updated just in case there was any changes in drivers from the RTX 2070. Obviously, I updated drivers for the RTX 2070. I went through and I anything that I thought could be taken care of, I did. I uninstalled the game from my rig. I uninstalled the game from my USB. Reinstalled them. I went ahead and did the verify to make sure the files and everything were correct. That if I changed anything, I went looking for the INI file and for the settings. I went looking for those actual files in the app data to try to see if I couldn't figure out what was messing up, because it seemed to run DX11 fine at one point, but it didn't run DX12, which is what I was trying to test this game in. And I thought maybe that was the deal. Turns out that's not the deal at all. I was just chasing a red herring. But let me show you what was the deal. Now, we just saw this fail, right? However, if I go down here and I bring up Afterburner and I turn Afterburner off, then I can go ahead and now we're going to try to rerun this. Now, Afterburner won't restart itself unless I restart it, but whether it's running or actually on the screen or not made a huge difference in what was going on with how this game was running. Now, I do have to kind of take Steam's word for it, and I do have to take the averages or whatever from the game itself when I do the benchmark runs this time. And maybe I'll look at a different tool or find out why those two don't play well with each other. But we're going to watch here in a second, and this game's going to load up normally. Either that or it's going to crash, and I'm going to look like a fool and have to re-edit this. But now, here it comes, Claptrap. We're not going to have the same issue. Now, I do not know why MSI Afterburner and the other tool, the Riva Tuner, have problems with this particular game. But so far, this is the only combination that I've actually found this problem with. The 5800X, see, here we go even to another screen. The 5800X, it's a Ryzen 7 8-core 16 thread, and the RTX 2070, all with current drivers, all with a BIOS update, all with everything, and here we go. All right, so we've got the game running, which is fine. MSI Afterburner's not turned on. But when we go ahead and turn it on, yep, all right, take that, go back to our Borderlands screen. We're doing, it should come up, not a problem. Okay, here we go. But let's go ahead and run us a little bit of a benchmark. And while we do that, we're going to turn the display on the screen. We're going to go ahead and turn that on so we can see what our statistics are. Oh, wait, we don't get that far. Now, I have gone through and I've run an entire benchmark, and I've gone through and I've gotten most of the way through and just turn on the on-screen display. Sometimes it doesn't even run, obviously, with Afterburner attached to it. I don't know what this is. I'm going to explore. I've seen a few things here or there, Reddit posts and all that stuff about capping the frame rate. I will see if any of those make a difference. But just if you're having, and I noticed this with Cyberpunk 2077 at 1.2, if you're having problems with your game, look to see if there's any other programs that are running that might interfere with it. Do make sure that your graphics card, that the drivers are updated. Do make sure that things are seated properly. I did go back and make sure that everything was plugged in properly. My power cords, the GPU or the graphics card was seated properly. Those types of things. But the one thing that you might want to check is just to go and physically see and look in your menu to see what programs might be running that could interfere. You might have something like a statistics tuner, Riva statistics tuner, MSI Afterburner. You might have some other monitoring tool, hardware info or something like that, that just doesn't like to play nice. And they trip over each other and the game you're trying to play fails. Could be as simple as that. Who knows? Anyway, this is not the video I thought I was going to end up making. The video that I thought I was going to end up making was going to be with the ARC A750 in IM number 4, which is still going to happen. We're still doing that. Obviously, I spent a whole day troubleshooting, so I didn't get to spend the entire day testing. But if this helps you out at all, or found it interesting, or anything like that, go ahead and throw a like on the video. I'd certainly appreciate it. If you're not already subscribed, please do. Really trying to hit 1,500 by the end of the year. Love to hit it by Christmas. I can't do that without your help. And that would be amazing if you did decide to go ahead and click on that subscribe button if you aren't already subscribed. Don't be afraid to visit the rest of my socials. I'm trying to grow a little bit of a social network here. We'll see how it goes, including streaming on that purple channel. But if you don't do any of those other things, do me just one favor, and that's be good to each other. Be kind. Kindness costs nothing. You don't have to do anything. It doesn't cost you anything to smile or wave or hold the door open or say good morning or something like that. Yeah, and you might make somebody's day a whole lot better, you know? So anyway, that is all I have for right now, because I spent the whole day trying to figure that out, but I did figure it out. I'm going to go back to testing Borderlands 3 now without MSI Afterburner. I'm just going to have to trust the Steam and Borderlands to give me the right numbers. But in any case, yeah, you guys take care of yourselves until I get myself into something I got no business getting into. Oh, yeah, there's plenty of it out there and plenty of it behind me. I'll see you later.